late May, fat guy wearing a hoodie in very, very warm temperature. I'm going to be sweating bullets, but might as well keep this up for the bit. Hey guys, Panda Pat here. Welcome to another episode of Metal Monday. Today we are going to be doing a tier list of one of my absolute favorite bands of all time and one of my most influential bands of all time, Dimmu Borgir. Now these guys have been around since the early 90s in Norway. They were not heavily associated with the black metal movement in Norway, much like bands like Mayhem and Burzum. They weren't associated with that in the slightest, but they just did their own. They did their own thing, and it, as you can see, it obviously worked out tremendously for them. So today, I'm going to honor them and dishonor them in some capacity on ranking their albums from best to worst. We're going to go by order. I know it's all over the place, but as you can see, but you know what? Screw it. This is how I set it up. So we're going to start for the first album, For All Tid. And honestly, this album I had never listened to until just recently. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I know a lot of people really seem to like this album. They consider it one of the top 3 best albums from them. Gotta be honest with you, didn't really like it all that much. I think everyone's a little too high on themselves. Now, I don't think it's bad by any stretch of the imagination. Just, I don't know. This album just wasn't clicking for me. I think for the time, yeah, it definitely captures the style, but I personally wasn't feeling it. So I'm going to piss off a lot of people already, but I'm going to put For All Tid at a C. Sorry, Charlies. The next one we're going to do is Stormblast. Now, I actually just listened to the real version of this for the first time not too long ago. And this is another one of those 3 that a lot of people really seem to love. And honestly, I can see why. Even with the sound quality that they had at the time, which, I like the 90s wave of Norwegian black metal with the lo-fi recorded on one of those kid cassette players. I do like that from time to time, but I do like stuff that actually sounds high quality. I'm sure a lot of people are going to call me a poser from that, but it's my ears. It's art. Like whatever the hell you want. So with that being said, this album is actually really solid, and I'm going to put this at the respectable A tier. Next, we are going to go with Enthroned Darkness Triumphant. This album I absolutely love. To me, for whatever reason, I heavily associate this album with late September up until Halloween feel, especially the last song on this album, Succubus and Rapture. To me, for whatever reason, that song really captures I can't really describe it, but there's a certain feel to that time of year when everything's building up to Halloween, and you just feel like it really, like you're getting into the Halloween spirit of everything. But every other track on this is just absolutely stellar, absolutely incredible. So with that said, we're going to put this at an A, very close S, if you ask me. Very close S. Next is Spiritual Black Dimensions. Now, I had this album back when I was a freshman in high school. I was a burned copy. I don't physical one just because it's one that I feel like a lot of people tend to forget exists. Whenever I hear people talking about Dimmu Borgir, maybe it's just me, but you don't really hear them talking about them all that much. But again, maybe that's just me. But for my sake on this album, I feel like every other track is good. So like, Reptile is good. I don't remember the name of the second, third, or fourth song, but the third one is really good. The fourth I could care less about. Promise Future Aeons. There's a really good AMV here up on YouTube that actually got me introduced to probably one of the only anime movies that I actually like, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, that used that song. Really, really, really good. Absolutely love that track. But yeah, I think the third track is actually The Insight and Catharsis. Sorry for me going up back behind there. Sixth track I don't remember that well. Seventh track I really like, but like I said, to me it's just kind of a forgettable album. It's fine, but nothing too spectacular. So on that front, I'm gonna put this at a C. And we're going to go from there. Next is Puritanical, Euphoric, Misanthropia. I didn't start listening to this until I was a freshman in high school. In fact, I found Dimmu Borgir when I think it was midway through my eighth grade year. Which I'll get to that in just a moment. Actually, no, I lied. This Hybrid Stigmata Apostasy from this album was actually the very first song by Dimmu Borgir that I had ever heard. I didn't get this album until my freshman year of high school. The next album, more on that later. But yeah, I absolutely love this album. Maybe it's just me. The instrumentals are really good. Puritania is an absolute banger of a track. Just a lot of really good work. So it's on that front that I'm gonna put this at an A tier. Again, another pretty borderline-esque on S tiers. So let me actually bump that up. And you know what? Actually, I just realized I was wrong. I was actually planning on placing for All Tid at B tier, so that's going to stay there. And Spiritual Black Dimensions will stay down here. Next, you all know this one, Death Cult Armageddon. This is the album that really, really stuck the landing. We all have progenies of the Great Apocalypse to thank for that. I remember when I was first getting into black metal and I saw that music video. This was the first black metal band I had ever heard of. But I remember listening to this, watching the music video. I was actually getting sick to my stomach, but still wanted to keep going with the music. And then I remember I bought this album along with Wednesday 13's Transylvania 90210 at a Best Buy that was by my old house. I was listening to this track while I was playing Resident Evil 4 on my PS2, and I remember I was just absolutely sick to my stomach by the time Redsburg came on, and I hadn't listened to it since until I went on a family ski trip several months after that, and then absolutely fell in love with the album. But otherwise, what can I say? Easy S tier. That is flawless. And Abbott's guest vocals on Heavenly Perverse really seals the deal. And I absolutely love the orchestral moment. I'll put the timestamp to what I'm talking about in the here. I'll put the time frame that I'm talking about there. But absolutely killer album. Now, this one, Stormblast MMV. I was a little hesitant about putting this on here just because I wanted to focus on mainline albums, and this quote unquote is a mainline album, but I don't know. It might be, it might not be. I could be wrong. But I was actually getting into Dimmu Borgir right around the time that this album was starting to make its appearance. I like it. It's good, but just nothing to scoff about. So I'm gonna put this at B. Not quite as good as the original, but still pretty solid overall. Next album is Insort Diabole, which again, this was also around the same time that I was getting into the band. I remember my mom having to drive me on a very rainy day to Best Buy to pick this album up. It was the deluxe edition, and it's also the one I'm using for the thumbnail as well. But yeah, I remember picking this one up. I still enjoy it. It's still really good. The American deluxe edition came with the extra song, The Heretic Hammer. I love the symphonic element to that part. I'll leave the timestamp of what I'm talking about on the screen now. And this is a good, solid album. This is what a lot of people consider to be... Excuse me. This is what a lot of people tend to think as Dimmu Borgir's last good album. And I'm kind of in the line to agree with them on that. But yeah, it's a good album. Very solid. I'm going to put this at a B. And now we have Abrahadabra. I feel like this album definitely gets a lot of unintentional hate. This album just... You do understand why I'm putting this in F, right? I don't need to explain myself. This album is horrendous. Minus, I believe the track is called A Demiurge Molecule. This song is just terrible. And even the end of Demiurge Molecule, after the orchestral sections, before it gets to the do-do-do-do part of that song, it's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know what the hell 19-year-old me was thinking, liking this album, but it's so bad. I actually got bored one day at work, which inspired me to make this video in the first place, and I decided that I wanted to re-listen to Abrahadabra to see if it was just as bad as I remembered after I turned 20. Yeah, it's still bad. Really, really, really bad. I can't recommend this album to anyone who likes Dimmu Borgir. Pick any of the other ones that you see on the screen right here, or at least the ones that are ranked. But I absolutely cannot, on any good faith, have anyone listen to Abrahadabra. I can't let anyone do it. Anyway, we need to move on from that garbage. And the final one, the most current one that came out in 2018, I believe it was, Eonian. A lot of people had high expectations for this, and then it was ultimately destroyed. Oh my god, I can't even remember the name of the first track that came out. I'll throw the name on screen. I can't remember the name. A lot of people were like kind of shocked, and they were even more shocked with the track that followed that, like Council of Snakes and Wolves, I believe it's called. A lot of people were thrown off by that. I personally, I think it's fine. I think this album gets way more hate than it deserves, but it's not exactly at their best either. And for me, I think the one track, I can't remember what it's called, but it has like a Dollywood feel to it. I can't remember what track it is. I think it's track 7. But like if you've heard like stuff that that you would hear in like Bollywood films, you would understand like what track I'm talking about. I know, I think it's track 9. That's really good. It sounds like, to me, it sounds like their older stuff, but then it was ruined by the choir that comes in. But I digress. Album's actually not as bad as people make it out to be, so I'm putting this at a C tier. So in order, Dimmu Borgir, S tier. A tier, or excuse me, Death Cult Armageddon, S tier. Stormblast, OG. Puritanical, Euphoric, Misanthropia. And Enthroned, Darkness, Triumphant. That's an A. Those are A tiers. B tier, for All Tid, Stormblast, MMV, and Insorta Diaboli. C tier, Spiritual Black Dimensions, Eonian. Oddly enough, nothing for D tier, which, you know, whatever. And then F, Abrahadabra. But that'll do it for this ranking video. This was actually a lot of fun. Let me know if you guys are actually interested in me keeping this and being a legit thing. I have a couple more bands that I really want to do tier lists for. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch as well. And otherwise, I will catch you guys in the next video. Later, Gators.